Hello, and welcome to Convos and Coffee. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy to see you guys today. Hi. I am here at home, stuffing my face with this banana bread. So, very dear friends of mine, Esty and Leah, have created Gone Bananas bread. You might have seen me post about it. And they gave me a little Mother's Day special, which is the Chelsea Handler boozy bread. Now, I'm unclear about this, so maybe Esty can answer this, but is there alcohol in here? Because it was delivered to my doorstep and it comes in this beautiful packaging and it's a big heart, which is so nice. And anyway, I was eating it last night. I slept very well and then I've been eating it this morning. It's really, really good. And I highly recommend it. Not just this one, but all of them. There's the OG, there's one with nuts and chocolate chips. It's just like really, really great. So you'll hear me talk about it a lot. Gone Bananas bread, yum. And here I am, hi. Representing my daughter's school today because I can, because she just finished her first year. So I'm super happy to have Lucia home, successful first freshman year in college. And she just got home and a lot of gratitude the last couple of days, in a lot of ways. Yes, so there's a lot going on. And how's everyone doing? I'm gonna wait for you all to get on here. Now I'm craving banana bread. I know, sorry, you might be seeing me eat it during this, but which I don't like eating on camera, but it is what it is. All right, so I'm super excited today to have a very old friend who I've known for a really long time, and she is now a very powerful vocal keynote speaker and author. Her second book, Proof of Life, is coming out in the next month, and I really want to talk about that. And she's just a really positive, awesome person that I think those of you that don't know her are going to know her after this conversation. So her name is Jen Pastiloff, and Jen is just great. She's a very resilient and wonderful woman and mother, and so I'm not going to spend any more time introducing. I'm going to invite her. Hold on one second. How are you guys? Hi, Italy. Hi, Germany. Hi, Russia. Thank you, Russia. I love you too. Memphis, Iowa. Woo! Hi.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hi, guys. Look at
Hi,
you. Hi,
girl.
Jeb. Hold on. I'm going to pull this back a little bit. I always have issues with my little thing going. There we go.
Hi,
Hello.
my glasses are so dirty, but that's okay. Hi, gorgeous. So everyone, I'm deaf. I read lips, but I can hear better like this because it streams through my hearing aids. But I couldn't hear where did you say the cake was from Chelsea Handler?
Yes. So, Gone Bananas bread. Do you know Esty Stanley
Do
and Leah
I know
Smith?
what?
Esty Stanley.
I don't think
Okay.
so.
Okay. So, they created Gone. I'm going to send it to you.
Okay.
Gone Bananas bread. And they send me this loaf, and it's the Chelsea Handler. So it literally is.
That's what it's called?
Oh yeah,
Because
and it's like
Chelsea loves
it's
it?
it's called the OG, but it's a specific one for Mother's Day, and I think it's got a little booze in it. And I've
Yeah,
been
well,
eating
probably
it like,
vodka. Remember, I mean, that's funny. I no, because I'm manifesting getting Chelsea, if you're watching, being on your podcast. I think we'd be besties, and so I was like, oh my God, that's a sign. Chelsea sent her cake.
who did?
No,
Oh
okay, no.
my god.
Well, anyway,
I will.
hi everyone. I held up this picture of me because I I'm very immature now, but as a child, I was very serious. I have every picture of me as non-smiling, unhappy, and this is like one of the only ones. So I have it on my desk. I encourage everyone to find a picture of themselves when they're young and they feel like the most them. And I'm looking at it like tapping into that with
So
my
cute.
paint covered hands.
It's so cute. You know what? I love this idea of having pictures of ourselves young available on the daily because it really does. I did that exercise over the last like couple of years, and what it did for me, uh, just viscerally, I had this moment of understanding that little girl and how my mind worked and how my heart worked and how I thought I saw the world and how I perceived the world saw me.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
It's
And
wild.
although I want to clarify, one thing I do, I don't know if any of you watching, let's just get right, one thing, I bypass the bullshit. So, if any of you watching, probably the majority are women, have struggled with eating disorder or body dysmorphia or anything. Body dysmorphia in general for me is big because I hate change. It scares me. And so I have a tendency to, even if it's like, a couple months back, I'll look at a photo and I'll be like, or a couple years, and I'll obsess. So looking at a photo of ourselves when we're young, 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 not, let's say you're in your 40s or 50s or 60s, not a picture when you were like, this was the best I felt like I was the hottest. I was 35 or 25. I think you're talking like childlike. And in that vein, a million years ago, when I was a dinosaur, I wrote this poem, and the last line in it is really about this dysmorphia thing I'm talking about. And it's a call to action. Are you ready, people? Take a picture of your face and remember that in many years' time, you'll be amazed at how gorgeous you were. Be amazed now. Because like, how, especially if you have any, issues where you don't see yourself clearly, you're like, oh, I'm gross or I'm ugly. And then you look back and you go, God, I was gorgeous. I
Yeah.
was cute. But
Yeah.
in the moment, but it's always in hindsight, always. So instead, it's like, wait, now. And it's not all about what we look like here, but just now, instead of in hindsight only.
Yeah. I love that. And I do agree. I don't think there's a person that will tell you, particularly women, because we're so hard on ourselves, that they look at a picture of themselves at a different time and go, why was I so hard on myself? I look great. What was the problem? A friend of mine recently found a picture of ourselves in our bathing suits, like from like, I don't know, 10 years ago. And I remember when we took the picture, she kind of tucked her legs underneath the thing and she made me stand in front and she
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
did this
With
thing
the
so her
arm.
side wasn't showing. It was like a whole like movement, and then we looked at the picture. She goes, I look
I know.
great, come on. Like
There's
I
my point.
why was I
There's my
so
point. That's
yeah.
my point. That's my point. And it's like, it's like Mary Oliver. It's one of her most famous poems, and she says, I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. And it's like, why it's so much easier hindsight to look back. And I'm really here for like not having that regret or only recognizing beauty looking back. So
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah.
um
Yeah. I think it's
it's
so important. Tell me, so for those that are not familiar with your work, here we are, proof of life. Very, very, very excited for you. By the way, it's a beautiful cover and a beautiful title, and so appropriate. So we met. Let's start from the beginning, just and then we're gonna get to some of the topics of what inspired you to do this book. But we met like a long time ago because you were a waitress at a very popular spot here in Los Angeles called the Newsroom. And
for
it was a
14
place that
years,
was like
5 days a week.
14 years. So I waitressed for well, maybe 4 years off and on. I
You
think it was
did?
like one and a
Wow.
half. Yeah, I loved waitressing, by the way. I want like both my children. I'm actually going to make my son work at a restaurant
I
because,
think
and by the
everybody
way,
should.
they opened a Gone Banana Breads near our house, and he already said to me, "Do you think I can start? That could be my first job." I I really think it's important because you multitask.
Yeah. And also, I mean, oh, on so many levels, you get to, people have said, and I feel this way, it's such a good indicator of character when you're out with someone and you see how they treat a server or something. And for me, like one of the biggest, like hard no's is when I see someone being jerky or unkind, I'm like, oh, done. It's such a beautiful way to really understand people and to have respect for everyone,
Yes.
especially if that isn't inherent. Um,
Yes.
oh my God, it teaches you, yeah, multitasking, how to not take stuff personally. I didn't have not mastered that yet, but for me, it's where I learned how to lip read. I didn't realize I was, but it was survival. I thought it was just because I'm goofy me and I'd squat down to take people's orders, and then, I mean, I cannot hear without my hearing aids. It's gotten worse. But the restaurant, I was in such denial, and I'm, oh, the acoustics are bad, and but I learned I was master at lip reading because of all those years. I learned everything about people so much during those years, the good, the bad, the ugly, all
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. And you came out of, well, I'm going to ask you that question, but your memory of me, was I cool
You
or
were
was
lovely. I
I,
mean, so this is what's funny. I don't remember what I had for dinner last night. I do remember I finished watching Paradise on Hulu. Hi, Sterling K. Brown. Um, But I remember things like, oh, I'll see someone. I'm like, I used to wait on them all the time and they would get the chicken pot pie. I would remember, I can remember. So when
the
I started seeing her on Instagram, I'm
chicken
like,
pot?
oh my God, I would wait on her. I mean, over the years, like, but I have that kind of weirdly selective photographic memory. Yeah, you were lovely. And that's why I followed you on Instagram. I wouldn't have if you were not, because I'm not going to name the ones that weren't.
I'm sure. But you know what was strange about the newsroom? My memories of the newsroom where it was at a very convenient location, but it was also like a spot in the middle of town where you went to a lot of business meetings. So
Yep,
I
that's
remember a lot of my first meetings with agents or
yep,
directors. It was always the newsroom at any time of day. It was like the place. And
that's
so
exactly
I
right.
feel like it had a mix of maybe like a place where I frequented a lot with my husband, because I remember it was on our way to the preschool where my daughter went to school. So we would sometimes go there afterward. But then I also remember having a lot of meetings there. So I can imagine that myself at 20, like starting in this business, was probably pretty nervous many times that I went in, or, you know, whatever it
Yeah,
was.
but
So it's interesting.
inherently, you you don't magically become an asshole. Like we all have some crappy days, right? But inherently, you are who you are. And truthfully, the majority of the people that I felt invisible, the big lesson that I would like to share that I got is I'm still me. Like I really hated myself for a long time, and it was exacerbated by the years of working there. There's not it's beautiful being a server. The problem was I'm an
Right.
artist who wasn't making art or creating. And so I felt like I was dead inside and I was depressed and I wasn't on depressants. I am now. I'm open about that. I hated myself. And so it was exacerbated by these people, and the majority of them were behind the scenes, was
Yeah.
agents. And at the time I was pretending to be an actor. And so I was invisible. And so it validated that I was a piece of shit. And um
That's
it was
harsh.
yeah, it wasn't so much like the other side of it. It was all the industry people, the like, um oh, it was such an icky experience.
A 100%. Yeah.
But I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. And and it's where I discovered beauty hunting. It's this thing I do, a spiritual practice, aka get my head out of my ass, which is right now stop and identify 5 beautiful things wherever you are, whatever you're doing, especially when it's hard or boring, or you're at a job you hate, and it begins to really train us to find the beauty all the time. And because it's easier to get our knickers in a twist, I think sometimes, to be annoyed by people, and so we begin to get in the habit of like, wait, what's beautiful right now? And 5, because it's doable.
Yeah.
So I began to do that. That got me through each shift, and it led me to where I am. I then became a yoga teacher. That's how I made my way out.
And so you were at NYU
Hmm.
and you were an art student and you thought you'd come
Well,
out
I
and you
was
wanted
an
to come out and I know you wanted to do poetry,
yeah. I was an
art.
English major. I was gonna be a poet. I was a scholar. I was in the scholars program, and I got this fellowship, this poetry fellowship, and I was going to, I thought, have a life of academia and all these things. And I had a breakdown when I was 21. My boyfriend, my high school boyfriend, we stayed together, my first love, he broke up with me. And I was severely anorexic. I never had dealt with my father's death when I was 8. And so when my boyfriend broke up with me when I was 21, I literally had a nervous breakdown. And my mom had moved to California. And so I thought, I'm going to take a semester off to go be with my mom and just feel safe. And, um, well, and my dean, I was close to him. He said, "Don't do it." Do-" First, he said two things. He said, "Every year you're in LA, you're going to lose an IQ point." And I ran into him. I stayed in touch. That's who I am. And I saw him like a year ago, and I go, I got to report. You were right. I'm dumb as a rock. But I took a semester off. That's still going on. I never went back, and I put all my stuff in this girl's house. I was like, I'll be back. Nothing. And so I accidentally dropped out of college, and that job where you met me was my summer job. 14 years. And so people would come in and they would be like, "You're still here? Oh, I would have thought you would have made something of yourself by now." I mean, the things people said. So yeah, it was a segue, but beautiful. That's all of us, right? There's no linear path to anything.
No, there's not. And one of the things jumping forward, you were married, you got divorced, you have a son who's 9.
Uh-huh. Well, he'll be 9 on the
He'll be
19th. Yeah.
9 on the 19th. I'm the 17th.
Yours is,
Yeah,
or your son?
May.
He's going to be 9, and it's been whiles. That's how old I was when my dad died. And so, a lot came up for me this
Yeah.
year, and it's been really healing and hard and all the things. But yep, uh it's a time of a lot of change. I left my marriage, and I have a partner, this guy, this random, we have so many pictures. I don't know why this one is taped to my wall, but I look at it and I always think, caption this.
It's beautiful. And I love how authentically you share this wonderful love you have. Your partner is a wonderful
He
actor,
really is.
Henry. And how do you say Henry's last name?
Cherney, he's Polish. I saw some people here from Poland.
Cherney.
So yeah,
Yes,
Czerny. I thought before
I
I knew him, I thought it was
was gonna say
Czerny.
I was gonna say
Czerny.
Cherney, but then I wasn't sure because I know that. So, and he's coming out in the new Mission Impossible. He's
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
His character Kittredge is back.
Kittredge is back again. Yeah, so he was in number one. So good. And then they called him back 25 years later. He thought it was a joke at first, 25 years later. So he was in the last one, which if you haven't seen, you have to see it before this. I haven't seen the final reckoning, the new one coming out. But he's so good in the
Yeah.
last one. It was such a fun thing to have him back, all that time later for people
Well, it's amazing.
playing
I
the
look
same character.
forward to it. I'm a big Tom Cruise fan. For those of you that don't know, I worked on Mission Impossible 3, and a lot of stuff that, like, I had the best time. I'm
Wait,
in it
oh my
very
God,
little
I didn't remember that.
because I made it like for 2.5 seconds. Stuff that we did didn't end up in the movie, but I love Tom. I think that he is such a powerhouse. He
He
loves
really
everybody
is.
to be great in it and intense. And I don't know, I guess I appreciate people who love what they do and commit themselves fully. Like
Wait, that's
he
so
is
funny because
there. And I think that that's fun. So I'm a big fan. I go to all the movies. When the other one came out, it wasn't last summer, the summer before, right?
yeah, it was the summer before, and this one was supposed to be last year, but
Yeah,
because of the strike and
we were in on the East Coast and we got together all these kids who don't go to the movies anymore and we made everybody go see Mission Impossible.
oh
So
my
we
God,
went,
I love that you
we
did
filled
that.
the theater in this little tiny theater. We filled it up with a bunch of kids and teenagers and whatever. We're like, we're all going to the movies. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. So we went and saw it. And it was so spectacular to see it in a
And
theater and to
it's
see,
you have to with
yeah,
Tom's movies. But I was gonna say, so this morning, Nick Offerman, who I love, just such a fan. I've never met him, but I made a video compilation last year for Henry's 65th birthday, and I got one from Nick, and he sent these. I just fell in love with them. They were so charming and funny. So Nick was just on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and he shared a clip this morning, and Henry and I were dying because he was like, he's wearing the sweatshirt, and Jimmy's like, this is the sweatshirt Tom's wearing in the movie. And Nick was talking about how he called his wife Megan Mullally after she's shooting these scenes all day, and he's like, I think I'm in love with Tom. And it's just the way he delivers it. And that, the first time I ever met him in my whole life, I have never had anyone make a first impression like this guy did. I don't care what you call it, the way he makes you feel. And it's what everyone says. Nick did this imitation of how he's like, he did this kind of, he cocks his head, but then he looks at you and you're like, I'm the only person in the world.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I wish I had that. I'm always aware, like, there's all these fans waiting to talk to him. It doesn't matter. But he is, he asked me all these questions about my deafness, and he was so present. And the work ethic on this guy, I mean, he really is like, he's incredible. He really is just, there's no one like him.
Something I just thought of. It must have been challenging to be deaf and working at a restaurant and learning to lip read, because if someone doesn't know that you're deaf and they're saying, I want more ranch, not that you were the waitress, but you know what I mean? Like, still,
Babe, that's
did,
every day now. That is you have no idea what it, like, it is so exhausting and tiring because I don't present as a typically a person that people think of like with capital D deaf, because I'm small d deaf. I don't use ASL. I read lips, and my hearing's also gotten worse. So it's way worse now. But like now, let's say I'm in a coffee shop and they're calling my name and I don't hear, or they ask me a question I don't hear, and then they get this kind of like, ugh, your name, and I go, oh, I'm sorry, I'm deaf. Oh, I didn't know, I'm so sorry. So people assume airhead, snob, not paying attention, unless I preface it. And do you know how exhausting it gets constantly? And so I sometimes I just want to wear a sign. But also, like, if I'm not with you or someone, I to be like, what did they say? I mean, I'm like always lost. But it is I feel misunderstood almost all the time, because if I don't preempt it with people telling people, of course, because that's not on their radar to think, oh, she's deaf.
yeah, but if you really want to like mess with people, I also think it's kind of like you could let them be an asshole, and then you could sort of be like, hi, I just wanted to let you know I'm deaf.
I
And
do.
then they're going to feel awful.
I
They're
do.
going
I
to feel
do.
awful that they behaved poorly to you.
I do, and like I mean that's the thing. I have thank God I have a sense of humor. I always, I hate bios. Bios are so, you know, it's like look at all the things I've done. It's like a resume. I know you have to have them, but so now my bio is just like Jen thinks bios are dumb. Here's some things. She's deaf. She reads lips. She mishears everything, but what she hears is usually funnier. At least she thinks so. I always hear the wrong thing, but some days I feel sorry for myself and I'm frustrated, but mostly I have a sense of humor or I wouldn't be able to get out of bed. And I think that is like the key to living a happy-ish life, is
Yeah.
being able to have a sense of humor and find the funny and not take ourselves too seriously. And I'm not
And
saying
also
it's
somebody
all a joke, but
somebody just wrote that that's bullshit, because people need to have compassion even if they're frustrated. And I agree with you, but most people don't. Most people are going through their day, and I've said this to you too, Jen. You know, I think that I've come to a place in my life where I really just forgive people for wherever they're at, because they might just be in a really like sad place,
yeah, yeah,
asshole place,
yeah.
whatever you want to be. Like, you're going through your thing. It's like, what's it say?
Badass
Badass,
manifester.
badass manifester. That hat looks really good on you, by the way. It's super cute.
But if
I,
I walked around like this, please punch me in the nose. Oh yeah.
uh, uh,
Um, I mean,
But
but
I just want to know. I just want to say that I feel like I think I was like this at a certain point in my life because I right now today feel more like myself in my teens and 20s than I have for years because there was a moment in my 20s, late 20s until about my mid 40s with this period of growing, achieving, working, building a family and everything. It's not just that you become result or I became result oriented, but I also, I think, didn't understand how to sometimes take the time for myself to recalibrate and say, hey, that thing you're invited to, you can say no.
yes.
This
Oh, say
thing
it
that
again
doesn't
for the
fill your
people in the
bucket,
back and the
you,
deaf lady.
yeah,
I said, say it again for the people in the back and the deaf
yeah,
lady. I think what you're saying right now, I'm joking. I did hear you, but really say it again because I think especially women, although I see lots of people on that I don't know, I can't tell by your handles if, how you present, what your pronoun is, but especially women don't feel like, um, we get to say no. And I think what you said, that's why I said say it again, is like guts to be memorized, tattooed in our hearts and our brain. And we get to, and that's the whole thing about becoming your own permission slip and really like living life on your terms.
yeah,
That doesn't mean walking around being um it isn't a narcissist or a martyr, but it's like, wait, is that a full body yes?
right,
um what do I want? I don't know, let me discover. Or or I don't want that, or no, that doesn't feel good, and being okay with that, right?
right. Tell me,
Empowered.
tell me, so embarking on this book, what's, what's, what was the impetus and what's the takeaway? What is it that you want
Oh, for this
people
book?
to, yeah,
Yeah. So the subtitle is Let Go. And by the way, those of you who have never written a book, if you have, Mazel Tov, that's Yiddish. Um, Pre-orders are so important. So please pre-order wherever books are sold. And I know some of you are like in Poland and places like that. God willing, it gets translated. But let go, let love, and stop looking for permission to live your life. And that's really about becoming your own permission slip. So, um, whatever, for example, look at me right now. I'm absurd. In fact, I have this top on that I got at a thrift store the other day, and I had never tried it on. I just grabbed it and I was like, this is cute. So look, I tied a scrunchie to the back of it because you can't see that. Like I have a tail, and I'm like, wearing two different color socks. And
are you crop topping it? Why did
oh
you tie
God,
a
no.
scrunchie?
No. Listen, you young ones on here, because I know there's a lot. Um, I was in the, it's not even, it's just, I don't, even, even when, I just don't have the body. Like, it's just, I don't want my belly hanging out there. And it's not anything but no, no, no. Um, uh, Permission to live our life. This paint on my hands, like a couple of years ago, my son's 6th birthday, I got little canvases for the kids for his birthday party, and I can't even draw a stick figure. Now, I want to also point out that all my life I've had that story. Oh, I'm not an artist. I can't draw, because a lot of times we make decisions about ourselves when we're small based on whatever, generally something that we've been told,
Right,
and then we
right.
hold on to that our whole lives. And so a big part of my book and my life is letting go of those bullshit stories, letting go of what we think is true. This is one of my favorite quotes I live by, and I heard Wayne Dyer say it. May my beloved teacher and then friend rest in peace. And I believe it's Mark Twain, but it's not what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you think you know for sure that just ain't so. And that is like, so what is
Say
it
it,
that you
no,
think
wait,
you,
say that again. Say it slower, just so
it's
everyone hears it. Go ahead.
it's not what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's not what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you think you know for sure that just ain't so. So, for example, I'm not an artist. I'm not a blah, blah, blah. I'm just that way. All these things that we think we know. And especially once you're past, let's make up an age, 23, let's say, it's like as if people think they're cooked, they're done. And
Mhm.
ITG, imaginary time gods. Don't exist. Not real. So I went outside at the birthday party and the kids weren't making art, maybe like two little girls, and I started doing it. And all of a sudden, I thought I said Courtney Love, but I'm here for Courtney P. Dove. She said, this is a therapy session. um, you could Venmo me, Courtney Love. So I was out there, making the art, and then I couldn't stop. And I was leading a retreat. I lead retreats in Italy and in Ojai, random, both my heart homes.
Both heart homes for me too.
I
Love.
so I live now in Ojai, and God willing, one day I buy a second home in Italy. And well, there
You're
you have it.
set.
You hear me? To my dad in heaven, whoever I pray to. Um, I couldn't stop making art, so I brought the stuff to my next retreat, and then I couldn't stop. And because I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't know. Like, I didn't have any voice that was like, that's wrong, that's right, that's bad, that's good. And the freedom in that. And I was like, oh my God. And I couldn't stop. And it became medicine. I started selling my art. I mean, I sell it. And I wrote my way. I mean, I painted my way into this next book. So the other day, like a ding dong, I was making something with glue, but I used Gorilla Glue, which is like super glue. And I am wise, but sometimes just not the sharpest tool in the shed because, man, it's now stained, and hopefully I'm not gonna be like, "Hi, Tom Cruise," when I go to the premiere. Hi, hi. So this is paint. But this is a perfect demonstration for those of you watching of like what you think you know for sure about yourself. Oh, I could. So people come over and they're in awe of all the art in my home. It looks like a museum. Not necessarily because they're like, you're the best artist in the world, but because they're like, oh, I could never do that. You just started one day, and they go, how do you know what paint to use? Well, I don't. I use whatever I can find. I don't know what I'm doing. And
Right.
the beauty in that, the beauty in allowing for the play and the, you know, and so, this book is really, it's about choosing yourself, and whatever that means for you, it means something different for everyone. And being I call every, weirdo for me is a term of endearment. But like embracing your you-ness, whatever makes you you, Sasha, the magic, weird, wonderful stuff that makes you you is it's invisible and it's like uniquely you. And so many of us, and especially like for things that we feel ashamed about, like for me, it was my hearing loss or depression, try to hide. And when I started talking about these things years ago, it was very different back then when I first started, like on Facebook. It
Right.
was very, especially because I was a yoga teacher, it was taboo. I was talking about, I take antidepressants. Oh, you're a yogi. But all of a sudden, people were coming to me in droves, thanking me. And I was like, wait a minute. Wait, hold on. You're telling me that all the things I was hiding about myself are the things that are fallen lovable or,
Right. Right. Right.
oh, there's a petition to bring back Rizzoli and Isles. All right, send it. I'll sign it. Um, it cracks me up. I love everyone on here, but you're like we're jenniferpastiloff.com. Anything will get me, but I'll be on like just say with anyone,
We'll
and it'll be like the most
post. Yeah, we'll post it
random
afterward.
things
Wait,
that
but
people.
wait, back to what you were saying. I think that I think there's a couple of really important topics that you talk about a lot. One is this giving yourself permission to say that you are something. Like we so often, as you say, censor ourselves, and the world hasn't censored us.
Boom, boom, boom. And even if they have, like, and that's the thing I think, about getting older. I don't think people necessarily get wiser. God willing, I think I have, but someone may beg to differ. But man, I've gotten wiser. And I am so much hotter than I was when I was in my 20s, and it has nothing to do with what I look like. Nothing.
No, it's not. It's your state. It's your energy. It's how we feel about
Yes,
ourselves that people feel.
Courtney.
It's
Yes,
not,
Cheryl.
you know?
Yes. And so it's like, it's exactly right. And I have some days I don't like myself. Please don't look at me like, oh, she has it all figured out. Are you kidding? Especially
Mhm.
like last night I did a session with my dear friend Paulina Porskova, who was one of the original supermodels. She's like one of my besties. And,
She was
I was
literally
saying,
my favorite. Like who, I mean, everyone's favorite. The most stunning,
and she's
just
so I love her because I was telling Henry, my partner, I always call him a contrarian because like whatever, if I'm black, he'll be like, well, white. And Pauline is very, I can't explain it, but last night I said, you always, um, she kind of, she described it. She goes, well, good conversations, like you got to poke. I go, yeah, you're a poker. So she's very, I love that about her. She's never afraid to say her opinion or what she thinks or say, well, no. Um, but I was telling you guys last night on the Zoom, like right now, all this stuff is coming up for me, all these insecurities, all these old things that I thought I buried with this promotion of the book where, getting rejected for big podcasts or people ignoring or whatever. And all of a sudden it's like, wah, wah, I forgot I suck. And and that's the thing about being human, being willing to talk about that. And I'm not going to pretend that I'm like, well, now that I've like, I understand what it means to be human. I'm always grounded and I always love myself and I don't have any crappy days. No. But having a sense of humor and the knowing that we get to begin again as long as we get to take a breath. And that may
Yeah.
sound corny, but it's true.
Yeah.
If you could take a breath, you could begin again. And like, becoming your own permission slip. So think about what you're denying yourself. This is one thing the book is also, um, you get to have this. So I'd love to ask everyone watching, when you say that, I get to have this. Now, it is not some kind of like, I get to have this and Sasha doesn't, or I get to have this and you don't. It is not that. And it's not about a materialistic thing, although that may come along with whatever it is. When you say, I get to have this, what's your this? Now, I ask that and people look at me like, huh? So then I ask this, what does your inner asshole tell you don't get to have? Is it ease? Is it rest? Is it joy? Is it reciprocity? Is it fulfilling friendship? Is it whatever? And then you'll get goosebumps because whatever your inner asshole, that's what I call it, tells you is what story you don't get to have. That's what you're denying yourself. And it doesn't mean it's going to look exactly like anything you thought, but inherently it's not true that you don't get to have it.
Yeah, it's not true that you don't get to have it. And I just do think that I was having this conversation with my daughter, given her first year away at college and coming back. And I think the biggest takeaways was not just that you're home and you're independent and you're learning all of that, right? But you are also learning about people and all those other people that you're surrounded by
What
all
did
day
you say?
long.
You're worried about other people?
No, no, no. That my daughter's learning
Oh, I see.
about
I
other.
love this person, Anna. She keeps saying something like, I don't know if you're in another country or you're deaf like me, but she keeps writing about having a translator in my brain. Girl, get in line. Me too. But yeah, you're learning about other people. How old is your daughter? 20?
She's going to be 19 next week.
Okay. Oh, right. Okay.
But
So,
but this idea of what you're saying, which is that we we start to see other, like, if you're an intuitive, sensitive person, which I believe we
oh,
all are. It's
oh
just the
yeah,
level that the level that we have, that we work on allowing that to be something that we acknowledge and recognize, because
yep.
there's
Oh,
a lot of people just sort of are more comfortable staying kind of in the dark of it because it feels more comfortable. But evidently eventually life will kind of find a way to wake it up and make you sort of look at reality. And I think for her,
God
what was
willing, or
yeah.
goddess willing, or what, right?
Right. And I think for her there was a big awakening in terms of seeing how other people were raised and how they see the
I love
world,
that. That's
and
so important.
how they approach things. Like, even just from a sense of, like, some kids whose parents did everything for them, like just everything for them. They chewed their food. And now these kids are at a major university on their own around other kids who are
Yeah.
academics and intellectuals and kids who are just like learning, or whether that's music or sports or whatever it is, but they're all there to learn, to better themselves, to, come out having a job. Like, they all have, some ambition. And it's just interesting that she just kind of was like looking around going, wow, like taking in how much we individually carry with us from our childhood, from our trauma,
Wait,
from what we were
did you
taught.
say she brought this up or you
Yeah,
did? I
we
love
both,
that.
I
Like,
mean, she did, but
yeah,
yeah, but
but
she's a
I love
very,
that she did. Like,
oh
she's
yeah,
like an old soul. She's an
oh
old soul.
yeah,
I love her. I
oh,
love her. What's her name? What's her name?
Lucia.
Lucia. That's right. Someone I
No,
knew that.
Lucia is an old soul. And even from a very young age, like 9 or 10 years old, she would say things and I'd be like, she'd be like, oh, that girl's gonna have a lot of trouble when she gets older. And I was like, what do you know? Like, what are you talking about? And then that kid or whatever would grow up and they would be going through a lot. And she would say, I told you. And I'd say, what do you mean? What is it that you saw as a 9 or 10 year old child? And she would say things like, oh, well, they just used to lie a lot, or they did this a lot,
So,
or that. And
so
so she
she's got an intuition like a
recognized,
mother.
yeah,
Yeah,
she
and
recognized
mhm.
that there was a behavior that just wasn't going to be something that was going to be it just wasn't something that they would have to deal with. So, what I want to say is like two things that really resonate with me about what you say. One is giving ourselves permission, and two, giving ourselves permission that no one is saying no, that we can't do something. And I can't talk about it, get into it today, but I have done that. This year, I have embarked on a new project, which I will share with you guys very soon. But I gave myself permission to do something totally that was completely, I was inspired to
I'm
do. I
very
wanted to
proud of
do.
you. It
Thank you
doesn't
so
matter.
much.
It doesn't matter what it is. I'm very proud of
Thank
you.
you. And it has been something that, like, I think for many years I have just sort of stopped myself, because also I think that when you become too result oriented, you stop yourself from the journey of play, which is the other thing you
Yes,
talk about.
that's in the book. You sneaky. You got the book, by the way. It's at your office, but it's because I think it's the myth of productivity, and I'm real big on like doing nothing, the art of doing nothing. But this idea of, I mean, that's what I got famous for, this quote that was from the restaurant. I had a breakdown after I was like, I was a scholar. What the fuck happened? How did I get here? What have I done? What have I done? And the epiphany I had was when I get to the end of my life and I ask one final, what have I done? Let my answer be, I have done love. And
Oh,
so about a year after I sold this book, so if you do, oh, Russia, my first book was translated into Russian, by the way. Um, when I wrote this book, you sell it on proposal, and a year after I sold it, I had not done shit, nothing except paint. And I started to have that panic. I didn't have any income. I had left my marriage, and I was like, what have I done? I was having a panic attack. And the same thing, because I feel that we live in a world where we believe we have to be like, see what I have to show for myself? I'm worth something. See, and that's what proof of life means. There's nothing anyone could show me or anyone that proves that you're worthy or that you deserve whatever it is. So, like this, oh, if I'm just productive or I'm busy or I have more followers or more money, none of it.
mm, no.
None of it matters. I mean, sure, having more money can create more ease, unless you're a billionaire. No need for billionaires. But none of that makes you more worthy. And I forget that sometimes. And so I was like, I don't have anything to show. Like, what do I have to show? I mean, I literally said that out loud. What do I have to show for my life? And that's crock of shit.
Yeah.
And so, like, you fall, and especially you, I'm very, very proud of you because especially being an actor, among other things, you're not just an actor. That's the
No.
just a bucks. But especially as a woman, there are insidious ways that we get boxed in, and then we start to just, without even realizing, adopt being who we think we should be and what we're supposed to do. And then all of a sudden 10 years pass or whatever. And so I'm proud of you,
Thank
whatever it
you.
is that you did, that
Thank you.
last night Paulina just defined brave. She just said, brave is just doing anything that scares you. And it sounds like that's what you did, or what, like the kind of thing we tell ourselves, well, who would I be to do that? Or,
But strangely, it and we can have another follow-up conversation about this. It actually didn't scare me. So what was
that's,
so strange
love it.
was the thing that felt like the biggest thing that I was taking on as a challenge scared me less than waiting on the sidelines, like you said, waiting at the newsroom to be discovered. Like
It makes me want
we
to
were
cry.
waiting to be discovered. I was never waiting to be discovered, ever, 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 until I was. And then all of a sudden, whether it's getting to a place in your life where you're waiting because the industry that I'm in is one that you wait for someone to write something that hopefully they pick you.
That,
You're going to be chosen,
pick
and you're
me, pick
waiting
me.
around. It doesn't feel good. And I always said to myself that when I got to that point in this career, I would have to figure out, because that doesn't feel good. I don't like it. I didn't like it. It made me sad.
Of
It made
course
me
it
feel
does.
like all of a sudden, all this work and years of success I'd had and work I'd done had somehow all of a sudden didn't mean anything to anyone. That's not true. It's not true. And so I think it's a very, for me specifically, it was just something like I have so much gratitude towards things that I have worked really hard on in my life. I've worked really hard to be a good parent. I've worked
Mm-hmm.
really hard not to repeat patterns in my childhood. I've
Mm-hmm.
worked really hard at my marriage. I have made choices to not do things in work to keep my family together. And so for some reason, those things I was taking for granted that I had made that choice, which is not kind to me.
It's so not kind. And Nikita, I hope you follow me and message me. This question is really beautiful. But I want to say something. I don't want to forget, Nikita, your question. Um, you said something, Sasha, that I think was really important, and I want people to really make sure they heard it, which was, I said, the thing that scares you, and you said, actually, this wasn't scary at all. And I want to say why. Do you know why? I mean, I know why that wasn't scary to you, but do you
No,
know why?
no, tell me.
Because, well, two things. One, like, sometimes stalking works. Just kidding, people. But like Wayne Dyer was like my everything, and I would go to all his things. And by the time he died, he was my friend. Wayne Dyer was this big, look him up. But one thing he would say when like talking about what you want in your life or whatever, one question he asked, and this was when I was pretending to be an actor and I knew the answer, he would go, "Does it feel natural to you?" Sasha, when I would imagine trying to be like on set or something, I never could. And I got honest with myself. I was like, no. So there's that. Like what feels most natural.
Most
And then
natural, right?
another story of like this book that changed my life, which is how I bought my house, called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Well, now they're like my fairy godparent. They live around the corner. Unbeknownst to me, they live in Ojai, and but Gay Hendricks talks about and Katie Hendricks talk about your zone of genius. Now, if you're watching, please don't. It's not about like I'm a genius and you're not, or even about how you make your money. Zone of genius is, for example, they pointed out to me. I said, "Oh, the painting is like an addiction," and they're like, "No, it's like one of your zones of genius." So one of the markers is A, it's anything that has a kernel of what you love to do when time passes and you have no sense of it. um and to give it context, there's like your zone of excellence, your zone of competence. But because whatever this is, it doesn't even matter the thing you're talking about, it's one of your zones of genius, and it also feels natural to you, and it was a full body yes. And
Full body,
so
yes. Yeah.
yeah, but it's like, yeah, you're yes, flow. That's exactly when you're in the zone. It's a sense of flow. And it's the first time with art, writing sometimes, but it's a different thing. I go in my garage or I get paint and I swear I come out and I'm like, how have 12 hours passed? And and a lot of you, if you're watching and you're, I don't care how old you are, like if you're 50 and you're like, I still don't know what I want, or start to really examine what lights me up. What do I love to do?
Yeah.
And like it could be, making coffee, whatever, and start to really pay attention to that,
Yeah.
because that's an indicator. I
Right.
mean, you get to have what lights you up. That's a big thing for my book. What lights you up in life?
Yeah.
Look, guys, we don't get out alive. No one does. What lights you up?
Yeah.
Who lights you up? Spend time with them.
Yes. Spend time with them. And people who also who light you up, and also when they light you up, when you're around people who light you up, you are the best version of yourself.
Yep. Boom, boom, boom. You are so right with that. And that in itself, I mean, it's just win, win,
Win
win, win. It's
win. Yeah.
amazing. It's amazing. And it's like, I love who I am when I'm with you. And also, we're contagious beings. And I always say to people, don't believe me? Step outside, call someone, start gossiping. I mean, we're contagious beings. And so there's that. Also, I reflect back to you, like, I see you and you're beautiful. And so I reflect that back to you. I had this boyfriend for a couple of years who basically reflected back that I was worthless. And a lot of people do that. They
Yeah.
surround themselves with people um who validate for them that they suck. And
Yeah.
so yes, you shine when you're around people who I love that. Your lightning is oh your lighting
I
is in your writing.
I wanna call out somebody. Her name is Chris, and she's in Brazil. And I met Chris because she came to see my play in January from Brazil.
Is it Zanini?
And
Zanini?
yes, and
Okay.
Chris is such a light, such an empowering, beautiful human.
I'm
She
gonna follow.
came she came because she wanted to come and do this for herself. She was someone who said, I'm going to do this. I want this to be part of something in my life that I go and I experience and I have. She didn't ask anything of me.
But it was a
She,
play, babe. A play.
yes, yeah. Yeah, I did a play. I did Chekhov's The Seagull here in LA, and it was an amazing experience, and it was just something that I wanted to do on my bucket list. But the way she showed up,
Oh,
and
I'm so moved. Chris,
it's
please follow me.
so
I'm very moved. I'm
moving,
very
and she
moved.
just gets it. So here's what I want to say, because we have to wrap up. But what some things that I get from you, and I think that people are writing in about, are really like, one, somebody wrote that they just love how raw and authentic you are to you. And some people will probably be like, whoa, that's like a lot to take in,
Why though?
because
I mean, I'm so fascinated by that.
because
Like,
it makes people uncomfortable when people are being really honest. Like,
you
do you know how
said
many
it makes them
times?
uncomfortable or
Yes,
comfortable? Some
uncomfortable when people
I
are
guess it
very
depends. Yeah,
honest.
yeah. I mean, some people, for me, it's not, it's like actually, I think, okay, you're right, initially, but then it's incredible because all of a sudden it's like, what the hell? like I was saying on the phone, it's disarming. And then people feel free to be themselves. But
Yes.
yes, especially if they've been cultured or raised in like a lot of us, a way of like, you should be this way. And that's just not what we do.
No. And I think that the other thing that I want to say is that I think is really important about what you talk about, and I think that is important in, in what you have to say. And a lot of people are asking about writing and the process of writing, and I think you should all follow Jen on her Insta. What's your Insta?
Jen Pastiloff. And also, I've been doing a lot of free workshops, things like this, just by pre ordering my book. You can get it on Amazon, you can get it any indie bookstore. So reach out to me because I'm doing a lot of giveaways. And I didn't tell you this, Sasha, but I decided I am going to give away a spot to my Italy retreat in September.
Wow.
Um, I'm going to announce it later. I'm going to think of you'll have to buy 10 copies, and that's a lot, but it's from an indie bookstore. It'll support a bookstore, which we need to do, and you can gift them or donate. But the retreat's very intimate. It's in Tuscany, and it's very expensive. So, but I do writing workshops, and if you're asking about writing, a writer writes. So for that, just start with that. Any bullshit story you have of like, will I? Oh, well, I'm not. Well, a writer writes. So just start. And this book has a lot. There's a whole everything's about creativity in here, and I didn't. There's so many ways to get into writing. This book is about that. So
And
it's Jen
what I
Pastiloff.
love too, John, about like something that you promote, and also, and it reminds me a bit of like, remember the art, what was it? Is it The Artist's Way?
Um, you mean the Julia Cameron book?
Yeah. So remember like what I love about a lot of what you talk about in terms of play is that giving us permission to play takes us back to like a time when we were children when there was nothing attached to that. You just played. And in that play, you start to create.
Yes,
And I
yes.
will and I'll just tell you, I did that for myself about a year ago. I decided that I needed to play outside my house. So I got an office. I needed to play somewhere else where it was not connected to
I
home, like family,
love
me,
that.
me
You
cleaning
went
my house.
Virginia Woolf. A
No.
room of one. You went Virginia Woolf. A room of one. A room of.
And the minute that I got that, I was just exploding with ideas and a space to sort of go, oh, wait, I can do these things I've always wanted to do. There's no, and so what I love about what you do, and I hear you talking about in your workshops and everything else, is getting to that place where we give ourselves permission, we allow ourselves to
Allow.
play.
Allow.
And in that, wow, you have an allow tattoo.
I've allowed. I also have, so losing my dad traumatically when I was 8, and I thought I murdered him. I did not. But I mean, if that makes you want to follow me because of true crime obsession, fine. But I was 8 and he said, "You're being bad." And I said, "I hate you." And that was it. So my favorite words are always, "It's going to be okay." All my friends know. I'll be like, "Just tell me it's going to be okay." And so I was saying it to someone, I want to get a tattoo that says it's going to be okay. And as I was saying it, Bob Marley, Three Little Birds Come On. As I was saying that, every little thing is going to be all right, played, full body chills. And I was like, and there it is, Three Little Birds. So this means it's going to be, everything's going to be okay times infinity.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be okay times infinity. Allow, what are you allowing in your life? What are you not? I got you. And it's written so that it's for you. I got you, but also for me, which is something that, especially for women, I got you to everyone else. And then the last one I got is my son's handwriting, and it says, "And so it is, and so it is." So
Well, Jen,
yes,
you know
permission,
what?
allowing, play.
You are a lot of things. And a lot of those things are things that I find just full of life and inspiration because you are resilient, you are courageous, you're a fighter, you have had obstacles that are real obstacles in your life.
I'm not laughing
And
at you. I was laughing at the intensity comment. Thank you. Yeah.
and
Yes.
you
Yes.
know,
Yes.
but you've
Yes.
had real obstacles. A lot of people have real obstacles, and I think it is so important for people everywhere, no matter what country you're in. um and so many countries are so much more repressed and provincial than we are in the US. It's just important to know that the message that you're sending out, I know hits really hard with people, and I know that people relate because I can see what they're writing and commenting, and I just really love that you are being you and you're seeking your truth and you're sharing your truth. So thank you.
Thank you. I mean, Sasha,
I relate.
everyone's a
I
lot of
hear
things, by
you.
the way. You said, Jen, you're a lot of things, and I won't sleep tonight if I don't say this. We're all a lot of things. Like, that's the thing. I'm not a unicorn in that. We're all weird unicorns, but everybody, like, everybody has a lot of things. And even if you feel like you're not, that's a bullshit story. But um yeah, thank you. And I see you, and I got you, and all of you on here. Thank you for tuning in, and the comments about empathy. Yes, yes. And I want you to know that my life every day is like I'm in a foreign country. So if you are in another country and you're like, "Oh, these women are talking, she's talking too fast with her English," and
Yeah.
that's like me all the time, because what everything sounds like for me all the time is this. Hello. So I feel you in that way if you are struggling with my fast talking. What a beautiful group of people you have that follow you. I hate that word,
No,
but
I don't like the word follow. That's why I always say they're like, it's, I think we're in community and in connection.
Yeah.
So, but
Thank you.
just for the
Thank
record, I
you.
want you to know we understand everything. You're very clear and very expressive. And and and
I'm from
so
Philadelphia. I talk with my hands. I'm
I'm
Jewish,
not from
it's like
Philadelphia and I talk with my hands.
I mean,
um,
also I'm not an actor. I know not everyone that you talk to is an actor, but I'm not, I really am a weirdo. I'm a like people are like, I don't know how to describe you good. So I appreciate
I
you.
think we're all weird. I just think it's a question of whether we tune into that frequency or not.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
But
like
thank
it.
you.
I like it.
Thank you.
I think we
Thank
all need
you.
to I think we all need to step into that little childhood weirdo and
Yeah.
allow ourselves to just be and not worry about judgment and not judge and not, just to live. There's too many extremely oppositely negative things going on in the world,
Yeah.
that are so just not just wrong in sense of like policy and this that, but like
Yeah.
humanly what
Yeah.
I hear you doing, what I want to do with this, and whoever wants to hear, is just be in connection with humanity. Just be human. Like it doesn't matter. There's no like right way to do that,
That's
but
that,
like just
that's it,
just
Sasha.
just be
That's it.
human, because we're all in it together and there's no one that's like putting up some perfect front about it. We know a lot of people. I can see a picture and then know what's going on inside. That doesn't mean somebody shouldn't put out that picture. Let them put out that picture. They have a right to do whatever they want. I do it. I put out a wonderful picture. That doesn't mean I'm not having a day that's got its own struggles. That's okay. But I just feel like let's just continue to have connection and conversation so that we live in a space, a world that amongst all this negative stuff, we're at least pushing back every single day a little bit to say, hey, you know what? Like we're going through it too. I see you. And it's okay. We're going to get through today.
And my first book is called On Being Human.
Yes.
That's the one, by the way, those of you in Russia randomly, and I'm Russian, my grandfather, but he's passed away before I was born. So, but I want to say before you go about Lucia, um, what it sounds like and what I know is that you have raised, and I think our kids come in with it, some of it, and some of it is from us. It's a
Yeah.
mix, right? But obviously someone wrote earlier, empathy. And when that's why I said, is she the one that was saying that when you were talking about her, like her sort of awareness of all these different people? You've obviously modeled a way of being and imparted that upon her, and I'm touched by that.
Thanks.
um to really, like, it's about empathy, it's about connection. Community is where I find God, and I don't mean that in any kind of Judeo-Christian religious way, but seeing other person, that's what I got you, I see you, and
Yeah.
that's what we all want ultimately,
Yeah.
right? So
I always said to Lucia, and I say to Leonardo, my son, um, because I wish somebody had said this to me growing up.
yeah,
And very often when it's a parenting thing and I'm not really sure how to handle something, I sort of really do. I was really intuitive and I hated when people lied to me because I was a kid. Because even as a kid, you know what you feel. You
yeah.
may not know exactly what it is, but you feel it. And so when somebody says to you, oh, no, no, honey, they didn't mean that, or this wasn't this, you're like, I don't know.
But
Yes,
as
it
we
was
get
that.
older, we start to stifle that knowing. See what you're talking about?
Yes. Yeah,
And
we do.
like you said, how your daughter knew when she was really young, she was very, very intuitive. Obviously, she still is. But I think as we get older, the world starts to shape us. We start to let the world come at us, and that begins to dull, dull, dull. And that's what I'm talking about like coming back to finding yourself. It's like coming back to that. No, I know what I know.
Yeah, and I think oftentimes, but back to truth, I was going to say, and giving your truth, I just tell my kids oftentimes that, you know what, like you can know what you know, but most other people, you need to give people space to discover their own truth when they're ready and they
Oh
want
God,
to.
yes.
It is
Oh God,
not
yes.
your job to tell somebody else the truth of what you think it is, because
No,
that's
no, no, no,
your
no.
reality. That's not their reality.
I'm talking about more, and let me be clear. I don't mean I know what I know about, like, I don't know anything about how we feel. That's what I'm at. I'm
Right,
only, oh, that's all we can know. Like, so for example, when I said this new endeavor you're doing, and I'm proud of you, and because it's like one of your, obviously, it's one of your zones of genius, and it's a full body yes. So I think, how many times do people have a full body yes and they stifle it so long that they don't even recognize it
right.
anymore? Or I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know, like, I don't want to talk about sex. But there's all these things that, like,
Don't go there. We have to stop.
bye, bye. But the point is to stop stifling our what we know, our full body
Yeah.
yeses. I'm not going there. I'm not going there. Goodbye. I love you. Emotional intelligence. Yes.
You
Yes.
You guys,
All
thank
right.
you so emotional intelligence. Thank you so much. First of all,
I'm
Jen, thank
not.
you so much for coming on. We're gonna post about your book and sort of see where everybody can get it. And we may need to translate this conversation because we're getting a lot of. Can you translate this conversation? Because I'd like it, even though I'm not getting all of it. And thank you all for tuning in today. I wish you lots of love and peace and gratitude, and I hope that you know you listen to what Jen's putting out because I do really believe in it, and thank you
Yeah. And a
guys.
call to action is go be an I got
Five,
you for someone else and yourself.
and what are our five? What are our
Beautiful
five gratitudes?
things. Beauty
Beautiful
hunting.
things.
Beauty hunting right now, not of your life right now. Look around. I don't care if you're in traffic. Well, that's weird. I hope you're not, because you're, watching this. But like, look around right now, and especially when people are in front of you, because begin to train yourself to do that instead of finding what's annoying about people.
Yeah,
Like, look at her hands. Or look, instead you begin, oh wait, look at the color, and begin to
yeah.
just do that, and go do love. Love is a verb,
Go
whatever that
do
means.
love.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love that so much. Sending you big kisses to your painty hands. And love to you all. And thank you so much for tuning in. Combos and coffee. See you soon.
Bye everyone. Bye
Ciao.
bye. Thank you.
Bye.